You're listening to KEXP. We are listener-powered radio at 90.3 FM in Seattle and streaming worldwide at kexp.org. I'm Cheryl Waters here live on KEXP. It's Widowspeak. It's so wonderful to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
So excited about your new album, The Jacket, and you're going to be playing songs from that today. Mm-hmm. Take it away, Widowspeak, live on KEXP.
We'll
You're listening to Widowspeak live on KEXP, songs from their new album, The Jacket.
Just feel tired, I guess. I feel something when I hear your name in passing, clear as a bell. When I hear someone singing you like you, not as well. Talked like you'd be remembered when you told me your name. You waltzed around meeting strangers, but I liked you the same. We danced on the weekend, 'cause then we had plans. Good people are hard to find. I keep them when I can. Sleeping more in the west. Wash your hair with peppermint and lemon. Palamine on your bread. The pull of the tide was too great, I know. You meant as well as you could. Just wanted something to write on a stone. Tell everyone you were good. Too blue. Too blue. Still talking about you.
So beautiful. We're live here in the KEXP studios with Widowspeak, that song True Blue from their new album, The Jacket, which came out in March on Captured Tracks. Such a pretty guitar solo on that song.
Till it's not. You learn to love the ropes when you work hard. See, there could be braided a different way, sinking into nothing. You learn to stay.
That is so wonderful. It's Widowspeak live here on KEXP. Everything is simple. Another one of my faves from the new album, The Jacket. And I read somewhere where Rob talked about how that shows the way the band is just breathing. And ever since I read that, every time I listen to that song, and especially now, finally hearing it live, I listen to it in a different way, and I love the way you're all making space for one another. It's just a great example of how you've honed your craft over the last decade plus.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like how that song came together, recording it, and also just how it's kind of evolved as we play it. It just kind of, has these high and low moments that are really fun to play. So it's, yeah.
I'm such a big fan of this band. I remember the first time we had you live on the air was back in 2011 in New York.
Yeah.
And I was just so enchanted when that first record, your self-titled one, came out. Your beautiful vocals, the guitars, which are very strongly highlighted on the jacket. Yeah. Very nice. Molly, can you introduce everyone to our audience?
Yeah, so on drums we have Michael Stasiak, who actually played on our first record and was in the band, and then Willy Muse on bass, and Robert Earl Thomas on guitar, and my name is Molly Hamilton, and I playing guitar and singing.
Well, welcome to all of you. Michael, it's great to see you back and hear you on this record. One of my favorite fun facts about Widowspeak is that even though you're pretty firmly rooted in New York, both in Brooklyn and you've spent some time in upstate New York, Molly, you actually got your start here in the Pacific Northwest in the Tacoma music scene. And so I love to just push the boundaries there and call you a local band as well.
Well, and, I always will think of Tacoma as my home. And actually, we lived here a little bit a couple years ago when we were working on our fourth record. And, I imagine that I'll always kind of come back just because I have family here and just always think of it as where I'm from. But, Tacoma, I love Tacoma. And, I love Seattle too. But it's a great city to be from and to be, so.
Well, I'm glad you're passing through and made time to stop by today. Your latest record, The Jacket, I heard that it was initially a concept album, and that you kind of strayed away and evolved in sort of a looser format with it. But can you talk a little bit about that? Because the themes and the story of it are pretty fun and unique.
Well, so sometimes I like to, if I start writing songs, I sort of start to pin them together in a way, just even for my own process, thinking about them as an informal story, just in terms of thinking about what emotions I'd like to tap into on an album or something, just in a series of songs. And these ones started to feel like a story, and I sort of embellished them in my head about, there's a chain stitcher living in this fictional city, sort of thinking in terms of the Warriors or something, where there are these cover bands, country cover bands, and French yay pop cover bands wearing these costumes and outfits. And then there's a district similar to New York, how you have the Diamond District or the Flower District, where these cover bands are performing and people are stitching the costumes. And then it was sort of just an elaborate idea so that I could have different visuals. And I was thinking a lot about costumes as something to represent identity of a band, and also sort of this fiction that you're creating or this role you're playing that maybe resembles your reality and maybe it doesn't. So it was just kind of a way to talk about my own history being in this band, and also just thinking about making your way through life and thinking about jobs and things where you kind of adopt different personalities or different roles and then moving on from them. I don't know. There's a lot there, and then what ends up happening in making a record is you sort of whittle it down to something more essential and maybe something, the details become less important. But I think for me, it's still sort of this funny story that's hard to tell because the more I go down that road, the more I'm and this is the chapter when, they're at they lose the drummer somewhere in Texas. And then they're making their way to LA, but yeah, we didn't lose the drummer somewhere in Texas, so it's good. But yeah, it was just kind of like a rise and fall story, just about, I don't know, a fictional band called Latex.
I love it. Well, it sounds a little bit like it's a continuation of the themes on your 2020 release, Plum. It touches on creativity and the worth of an artist, which are really important topics. And you actually penned an essay where you talked about the meaning of being a successful musician, which you have struggled to do for over 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think especially over the last couple of years, thinking about, when a lot of musicians didn't have shows to play and we're kind of having to tap back into like the other jobs that you do, like hourly stuff or like other things. And it just kind of puts music into perspective because it is such a wonderful thing to do. But then when it starts to be monetized and you do have to spend so much time planning and thinking and allotting touring schedules and things, or not, as the case may be. And I think that it just sort of, you have to tap into some other reason to do things or kind of shift perspective a little bit. There's a lot of, I think over the course of being in this band for like 12 years now, I've just kind of gone with the flow. And a lot of that, sometimes in terms of music being a job, sometimes it's a full-time job and sometimes it's not. And so for me, just taking stock of those changing emotions over the course of this has been really healthy, I think, and helped me to enjoy this more and also like have less stage fright and feel like I can be a little bit more open with songwriting. I think as we keep going with this, I feel like all of this has become more natural and more of a joy because I'm putting less pressure on myself to make it a career. But then again, it's like, I think it makes it more possible to be a career when you let it be whatever it's going to be, I don't know if that makes sense. I have a lot of thoughts, but.
Well, thank you for sharing them. I mean, it's an important topic and a lot of people are thinking about those things now. I mean, Plum was such a beautiful album and you were not able to tour on that.
Yeah. Which on the one hand, I think that having time where, I didn't feel the pressure because we couldn't tour. So we ended up just writing right away and kind of rolling off of having written the Plum songs and then recorded them and then having that record come out. We were still sort of in writing mode. And I still felt like I had more to say kind of on the topics I was thinking about with Plum. So that's sort of where the jacket is almost like a narrative version of maybe the same things that Plum's about. But it felt like I was actually really happy to be able to write a record right away because sometimes it takes a long time to kind of have the space and time to get back into dreaming up new songs, I'm one of those people who can't really write on the road or if I'm doing another job where I'm kind of like back into work mode, it's hard to get back into that headspace. But yeah, anyway.
Well, I'm glad you had that time because the jacket is absolutely gorgeous. That last song you played, Everything is Simple, the first time I played that on the air, it blew my mind. And actually a couple staff members who were listening at their desks at the station came in and said, what was that song? And that doesn't happen. Sometimes people will email me or something, but they had to run down the hall, talk about it. So absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, all of you, for coming and bringing these beautiful songs to KEXP. It's always wonderful to see you.
Thank you so much for having us. I mean, I obviously, being from Tacoma, I always loved KEXP so much. So it's really an honor to be here.
Well, we love you right back. You've been with independent record label Captured Tracks for the whole of your career, and such an enduring relationship really kind of makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Why have they been a good home for your band over the years?
I think they're very supportive of, we've had different eras and different kind of dipping into different creative moments. And I think that they've just been very stable for us as a label home. And, Mike Sniper, who started the label, was just a very early friend and fan. And I think that energy at the very beginning for us is kind of what always made this feel like a really fun wonderful thing to do. I don't know. There has never been a question about us not really being in a band, just and I think it's just because from the beginning it felt like we were in good hands. So.
Well, KEXP is celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, helping people discover and champion great music wherever it can be found. And we feel so lucky to have found you. Do you feel the difference, the support from independent radio stations like this? How has that affected the band?
Yeah, I mean, especially, like, I just love radio so much. I think that it's still kind of, it's like the main way I discover new music. I like to hear new songs kind of alongside somebody else's vision of like what a playlist is, or the course of an hour, like how you're going to arrange things. I feel like that makes me sort of have a little bit more of an emotional relationship to a new song instead of just clicking through like new song today, you know? And I think that the way like that we have radio support from different stations and in college, and also like even like online people's radio stations that they're just doing for fun. All of that just feels really special because it means somebody's having like a personal relationship to our music, or like seeing something in it that feels personal to them. So yeah, I think it's really amazing to be able to have, you know, people tell me that they've heard us on the radio or something. It just feels really like grounded in reality in a way that sometimes the internet doesn't always give you that terrestrial, you know, the feeling of airwaves and, you know, music existing in space. So it's really cool.
Well, thank you so much once again for sharing these new songs. Widowspeak with the new album, The Jacket. Thanks to all of our listeners for supporting great radio like this and having that personal relationship with artists. You can discover so many great bands on KEXP's YouTube channel. I recommend you subscribe to it. And if you want to find out more about us, we're listener-powered. You can go to KEXP.org and learn more. Thank you again. Live here in the studios today with Widowspeak, live on KEXP.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was really great.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.